Welcome into A to Z Sports Prime Time on this Monday, September the 8th. Monday, Bloody Monday is what it feels like after the Tennessee Titans lose 20-12 in Denver. You have had plenty of reaction in the last 24 hours. It's been about 24 hours since that game finally ended. But I could not believe, and you could not believe, some of the things that resulted out of that game, not just what happened in the game, but what happened afterwards, with Brian Callahan having one of the more difficult press box or press conference experiences that at least I've ever personally witnessed. Now, today he had to own a glaring mistake. Today he had to admit to either getting caught up in the moment and making an incorrect statement about a rule, or outright not knowing a rule, or, and what has been proven to be the case, having a staff around him that was not prepared to make sure that he knew the rules in place, which is the bigger issue at this point in time. So he had to own this glaring mistake today after making it last night in the post-game press conference. That is what we are going to talk about tonight. It is week 2. Robert is off tonight. He's having a really hard time, honest to God. After the Ravens lost to the Bills, he was nonverbal today on the radio show. He paid Ross to come in here and handle primetime because he just can't stand it. This means that football is back, though, because it means that heartbreaking losses for everybody involved, for half the fan bases around the league, have officially come to pass. And while winning in football is always fun, there are so many more difficult losses. The Titans had a difficult loss. The Ravens had a difficult loss. A lot of teams had painstaking moments, but the Titans, man, it feels like they're playing a JV version of the sport based on the way that their coaching staff failed them yesterday. So you're going to hear from Brian Callahan here in just a second. Share the show around Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. We'll have a fast one tonight, given that Monday Night Football is already on. It's the Bears up at home, 7-0, 7:04 to play in the first quarter. Caleb Williams just ran in a touchdown to cap a 10-play, I believe, 61-yard scoring drive for the Bears, who are working with a first-time head coach as well. Share the show around. We'll go ahead and get it started because there's a lot of things to talk about and not nearly enough time to do them. Welcome into A to Z Sports Prime Time on this Monday, September 8th. I'm your host, Buck Rising, back from Denver, and proud as always to be presented to you by a brand new partner, Simon Says. If you have not been, it's an awesome spot in Wedgwood, Houston. SimonSaysNashville.com for more information. You're going to love the stuff that they have in there. I love the stuff that they have in there. I have a couple of pieces from Simon Says myself. You will be dressed to the nines. You will be dressed to impress when you go to SimonSaysNashville.com for more details. Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer, online at tworiversford.com. Quality American-made Ford vehicles, award-winning customer service is what they offer you. Go to Two Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet or online at tworiversford.com. And True Math Fitness in the Gulch. You are in position to succeed with the best fitness gym, the best training in Nashville. TrueMathFitness.com for more details. Your first workout is free. Personal training, group fitness classes, an awesome facility for you to work out as you please. They have a lot of different things that we knew were going to be a struggle for them in 2025, them being specifically the Tennessee Titans. We understand how bad this situation could be. But what we did not account for is how many different ways that they have invented to lose a football game in the Brian Callahan era. And Sunday was a fresh case of a new debacle that is going to make your chest tighten a little bit for how annoying that this situation is. I talked today on the radio show about the constant lowering of the bar for the Tennessee Titans organization over the course of the last 3 years. Catastrophic, says Ryan William on Facebook Live. Won't make it to the bye week. Maybe not. Not if he continues to have glaring errors as he did on Sunday. So in Denver, of course, there were a couple of different situations that arose. My first criticism of him was the level of conservatism that he approached the early part of the game. But what they had in being conservative and playing a tight football game against a Denver team that was struggling. What they had was a 6-3 lead and 47 seconds left on the clock in the first half of the football game when they get the ball back. They're backed up in their own end zone. They're at their own 7. And after playing a very conservative style of football at the early onset, Brian Callahan decides that he's going to flip the script and get hyper aggressive in one of the worst possible spots. He drops the rookie quarterback, Cam Ward, back 3 times, 2 incompletions, 1 a sack that was damn near a safety, 8 seconds bleed off the clock. Titans have 2 timeouts that they don't have the opportunity to use. Sean Payton and the Broncos have 2 timeouts that they have at their disposal. And now they're getting the ball back with 39 seconds to play. And what they have is Marvin Mims return in a big spot to get them to the midfield point. They have Jarvis Brownlee Jr., the Titans corner, commit a defensive pass interference that gets them even closer to the red zone. And then Bo Nix throws a 22-yard touchdown pass to Cortland Sutton while the Titans have mangled this end of half scenario. Then in the third quarter, there is a Chimere DK play. I believe it's 1st and 15 or 1st and 20. Excuse me, Alec Iamaner, not Chimere DK, where a pass is completed. Alec Iamaner comes down with his elbow, the ball secure, and his elbow in bounds. Everybody that's watched Tennessee Titans football in the last 5 years knows 1 elbow equals 2 feet. 1 Jonnu Smith butt cheek in Baltimore equaled 2 feet. Touchdown. Titans go on to beat Lamar Jackson and the Ravens in the divisional round. Jonnu Smith, 1 butt cheek, 2 feet. 1 elbow, 2 feet. The refs miss it in real time in Denver. Okay, not excusable, but refs make mistakes. It's incumbent upon the Titans coaching staff to challenge. Titans don't challenge the call of an incomplete pass, and the game proceeds on. Could have been a critical sequence in a game that they needed yardage, that they finished with only 133 net offensive yards while having 131 yards lost due to penalty. The Titans in this situation don't challenge the call of an incomplete pass. We all know the rule. Fox knows the rule. The broadcast is killing him. He gets to the podium, 20 minutes it takes him to get to the podium, in which time I assume that the Titans public relations staff, I assumed, was preparing him for our questions about this particular situation. And I don't know how he came into that press conference so ill-prepared. I don't know what was said to him. I don't know what he was doing for the 20 minutes between the, 25 minutes between the end of the game and the post-game press conference, where he got up there, 1, made mistakes in the way that he explained it, 2, said the rule incorrectly, said that the player needed to have a foot in bounds. An elbow is not enough. It is, and then has to go basically, 12 hours with everybody knowing that he got it wrong at the podium before he comes out today and publicly apologizes for not what he said. Well, I'll let you hear from him in his own words, but making the mistake, misinterpreting the rule, he said, and then later saying that he knew the rule, but got caught up in the moment at the press conference. It's embarrassing. And even more so in real time last night, saying the people upstairs who are tasked with being his second set of eyes, his third set of eyes from the box up above, said there wasn't enough to challenge the play. Ridiculous. Completely ridiculous. So not only does he not know the rule, but he has surrounded himself with somebody else who's there to catch him, to be a safety net, that doesn't know the rule. Insane that a professional head coach would find himself in this situation. So your Two Rivers Ford take is this: fair or foul, Brian Callahan's apology today at the podium. We'll talk about it together right after I remind you that Two Rivers Ford makes the primetime show possible. Quality American-made Ford vehicles, award-winning customer service. The South's most trusted Ford dealer is Two Rivers Ford. They have been doing it for over 4 decades. You can trust them to get the job done. That's Two Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet or online at tworiversford.com for more details. All right, so Brian Callahan at the podium today, apologizing for the mistake he made last night.
Conversation about the play with Alec and challenging the play and what I said after the game. And look, ultimately, my interpretation of the rule was wrong. I'll own it. We should have challenged the play, and and that's pretty much all I can say about it. Is I'll own the mistake. Should have challenged it, and that's where it stands. So other than that, you guys can go ahead.
With that being said, obviously there are other people who may have been able to tell you, hey, go ahead and challenge that.
That process and how those things get relayed, I'll keep those in house. But I'm the head coach of the football team, and my job is to make those decisions. And I didn't do a good enough job in that moment. I should have challenged it, and it probably would have resulted in a potential explosive play. So should have challenged play.
But your interpretation of it being incorrect, your interpretation of Rob in your ear is also incorrect. He's there to correct you or counsel you, and he's also not getting it right in the moment, correct?
Again, I should have challenged play, and the communication and how those things happened are all part of the process that we got to do a better job of overall. But I'm in charge of that, and I didn't do a good enough job there. So again, should have challenged play.
So that's Brian Callahan speaking today at the podium. And I mean, he's in a no-win situation, right? Because he loudly got it wrong yesterday at the press conference. And we don't have that video here for you tonight, but I'm sure you all have seen the clip or heard the audio by now. It's the fact that he was loud wrong about it. And then what is he going to say? Yeah, I didn't know the rule. That's all he can say. And well, but it's not what he said, right? He first starts by saying, well, I misinterpreted the rule, which means, okay, you didn't know the rule. But then he comes back later in this very same press conference and says that he did know the rule, but he just got caught up in the air. So which is it? That's the thing. It's just this constant nonsense around this team. And I understand that there are players, or rather that there are things that a coach has to have additional support on. But at the end of the day, he is the head coach. How do you get that? That's a very, very basic, obvious rule that everybody in the world knows, but you. And then you get at a press conference and you get defensive because you had a bad day, and I get it. But you don't get to be that ill-prepared for the moment. You cannot be the guy that looks like he doesn't know what he's doing. Even if you do, 9 times out of 10, you can't publicly get it that wrong the way that he did, and then come back and expect anybody to be able to trust you to get it right. Like that, we had Ben Jones on the radio show today and Brett Kern, and both of them talked about how unpleasant that team meeting was going to be, because you have to get the locker room to believe that they can trust you. Amani Hooker knows the rule. He's yelling on the sideline, tapping his elbow, pointing at the ref, saying, no, elbow down. He caught that pass. Amani Hooker was on that team in 2019 that went to the AFC Championship. He's seen Jonnu Smith make that play. He's seen that play be called correctly. How does the safety, who's in the middle of the game, who's watching plays on his iPad, paying attention to the offense as well, how do your players know the rule better than you do? Because those players come from a previous iteration of Titans football where mistakes and flaws were obvious in the way that the previous coaching staff would go about their jobs, but nobody would question the fact that they weren't totally buttoned up on the rule book to be a plus on the sidelines in game. It's crazy. A to Z Sports Primetime is made possible by our new friends, our new partners at Simon Says, and I promise you, you are going to love this shop when you go in and pay them a visit, not just because I like the clothes from there, but because they are going to offer you so many cool options for you to up your game. SimonsSaysNashville.com is where you go for all of the great things that they have. Every item is handpicked for quality, design, and a touch of Nashville character. They're limited pieces. They're carefully chosen. When they're gone, they're gone. So you know it's going to be a unique look to you. You can't shop Simon Says online. You have to go into the store to experience it. And I promise you that experience is going to be worthwhile. Go to SimonsSaysNashville.com to learn more about them. Check out their store in Wedgwood, Houston. You see the number there below you if you would like to call. SimonsSaysNashville.com for more details. So that is a losing recipe for the Titans in this situation. The coach costing them critical points, at least 4 points in the game, and making mistakes that ultimately compounded to lose them the game. So let's play the first clip again, and then let's play the second clip. And you tell me if I'm making too big a deal out of this.
Conversation about the play with Ellick and challenging the play and what I said after the game. And look, ultimately, my interpretation of the rule was wrong. I'll own it. We should have challenged the play, and that's pretty much all I can say about it. Is I'll own the mistake. We should have challenged it, and that's where it stands. So other than that, you guys can go ahead.
With that being said, obviously there are other people who may have been able to tell you, hey, go ahead and challenge that.
That process and how those things get relayed, I'll keep those in house. But I'm the head coach of the football team, and my job is to make those decisions. And I didn't do a good enough job in that moment. I should have challenged it, and it probably would have resulted in a potential explosive play. So should have challenged play.
But your interpretation of it being incorrect, the interpretation of Rob in your ear is also incorrect. He's there to correct you or counsel you, and he's also not getting it right in the moment, correct?
Again, I should have challenged play, and the communication and how those things happened are all part of the process that we got to do a better job of overall. But I'm in charge of that, and I didn't do a good enough job there. So again, should have challenged play.
All right. And then there's the second clip, which, again, you're trying not to read too much into it, but your words matter as an NFL head coach.
At that moment,
Yes.
Yeah, I think at the end of the game, I was worried about a lot of the things that went wrong in the game, and the heat of the moment, the frustration of it after the game in the press conference, I think is, again, I misspoke. I'm well aware of the rule. I understand how it works. And the way that I articulated afterwards was incorrect. And, I understand the rules of this game pretty well.
I understand the rules of this game pretty well is a thing that an NFL coach is having to say at the podium. Come on. Come on. I was sitting in the airport last night watching the end of the Bills-Ravens game, okay, with a bunch of Titans fans that made the trip. Maybe some of y'all were there in the chat. But just talking to some of these Titans fans about, like, what it is to experience this football team and just to see the way that they constantly shit the bed, but they find different ways to do it. Like, that's just insane. Insane that we would have this specific conversation because we knew that they would go to Denver and lose, right? Nobody's shocked that they went to Denver and lost. They covered in a game where they were the biggest underdog of the weekend. 8.5 points was the biggest spread between any two teams in football this weekend. But, like, if you picked the way that they would lose, 9 times out of 10, you would not have had what they did yesterday or what the coaching staff did to cost them opportunities yesterday. And that's the thing that they just completely botched. Taylor McKinney says, Buck, you picked the Titans to get beat by 29. We should have won the game. Yeah, what's your point? You didn't win the game because your coach shit the bed. What is that? Is that some kind of, like, hey, look at us, we don't suck as bad as you said we suck? What does that even mean? I think it should be even more infuriating that you looked like the better team and you still lost because you had incompetence. Is it like, is that some kind of point to brag? You picked us to lose by 29. Hey, we only lost by 8, but our coach is a dope, or at least behaved like a dope. What are you talking about? Some of y'all view these things through such a weird prism. I can't possibly understand how your takeaway is, yeah, but we should have won the game. Okay, be even more pissed that you didn't then. What a weird way to cope with that. I guess, I mean, whatever you got to tell yourself. Like, if you're one of these weirdos that are just sitting around saying, oh, but it's only week 1, man, grow up. Like, this is week 18. This is game 18 for a coaching staff that literally could not have more expectations downplayed around them. We gave them every excuse. Young team, bad situation last year. Will Levis wasn't your guy. Okay, get it right. Now you picked your guy. Now you got your offensive line right. Now you got a GM that's going to do the job better than the last guy that they fired. Like excuse after excuse after excuse for them to shit the bed that way. What kind of loser do you have to be to defend that kind of behavior? How sad, how substandard do you have to be about everything else in your life to look around, be like, yeah, but we have 17 more weeks left. Okay, but you just pooped yourself in the first opportunity that you got with the most possible time to prepare. And you made one of the least prepared or two of the least prepared mistakes that you saw an NFL coach make anywhere in the sport this season. But, oh, yeah, you got 17 games left. Congratulations to you. Loser shit. Anyway, happy football season. I mean, my God. Some of the simping for just bad performance by some of y'all. And it's a very small percentage of you guys, but like the ones that do it, I couldn't possibly understand. Have higher standards for your football program. Oh, pathetic. All right. Let's wrap things up because I want to watch the Monday Night Football game. You guys want to watch the Monday Night Football game. We'll have more things to talk about throughout the course of this week. LA is going to come in here. They don't, 6 days until the next football game that they play, and a pass rush that may not be as good as the Broncos, but is damn near as good, and stifled the Texans, the team that is picked to win your division. Although the Colts might, with Daniel Jones out here looking like a rehabilitated quarterback. That's one of those things that week one, I don't know if it's a lie or not about. We'll see if Daniel Jones's performances are sustainable or if the Dolphins just suck that badly. Dolphins, speaking of teams that are going to put people in fireable situations, the Dolphins were just terrible yesterday. But it's going to be a long week for everybody involved with them. They have to get it right. They've got to get it right at home. It's not an easy test. They're not going to be favored in this game either. But, I mean, what a pitiful outing. What a pitiful what a pitiful start to the season where you actually have the fan base willing to buy in with you again. And you betrayed them and your players. I mean, you betray your players when you put them out there for the guys that are putting their bodies on the line in these actual games. They have to be able to trust you that you're going to help them with your knowledge of the game. And you got a coaching staff that not only is getting it wrong on the sideline, but doesn't have the right people in the booth supporting them that are getting it wrong too. That is pitiful. Pitiful. All right. Let's wrap things up tonight. Let's remind you that the Primetime program is made possible by True Man Fitness in the Gulch. Go to TrueMadFitness.com for more details. For the best workout in Middle Tennessee, True Mad Fitness is there on offer, conveniently located downtown Nashville in the Gulch. TrueMadFitness.com for that first workout free. As a Middle Tennessee resident, they put you in position to succeed if you have to work off some frustrations because you're a Titans football fan, which God bless you if you are, because that sounds like hell. TrueMadFitness.com there to help you through all of your Titans fans' frustration. In fact, Worth Campbell, the owner of True Mad Fitness, was out in Denver with me with his family because they are Titans suite holders, and I saw them pregame, and they were cautiously optimistic. And I called them postgame, and nobody picked up my phone calls because woof. See you guys tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. No prime time for us tomorrow. Coordinators will talk. We'll carry it. Ben Jones and Brett Kern were great on the radio show today. Ross, if at some point you could clip a couple of things from those, I think that'd be good for people because I want to make sure that they catch Ben in particular talking about the way that players would respond to a coaching staff that isn't prepared themselves and doesn't adequately prepare the players for those situations, and how that trust is so easily broken between a locker room and a coach who's just trying to sell you on something that they can't deliver on. It's pathetic. Do it again for 3 more hours tomorrow. See you guys.
Go home! Go home! Go home!